looked at the election, it was put forward by the government of Yingluck in a bid to appease these mass street protests that had gathered since November. And it seems that although the election was able to take place across much of the country, there's a series of legal proceedings as well as the fact that in some constituencies no MPs will be elected, which means that the political process, in a sense, will continue over the next few weeks and even months, possibly. 95% of the parliament needs to take its seats to elect a new prime minister and a government. That will not be possible. There are a by-election scheduled for February 23rd, but it's unclear whether elections will again be blocked by the protesters that remain on the streets here in Bangkok and elsewhere around the country. There's also impeachment motion that's been set against the Prime Minister for alleged corruption in a rice fixing scheme, offering fixed prices to rice farmers around the country, as well as lodges of complaint from the opposition Democrat Party and protesters seeking to nullify the election. So, more political analysis ahead, and the elections have not been able to get the country out of this situation.
The Prime Minister, as you said, had hoped that these early elections would be a way of finding a way out of the crisis. And yet, for the Democrats, the opposition Democrats that you mentioned there, ironically, democracy is not the way forward. They believe that it is not elections that are needed, but rather the appointment of a non-elected sort of people's assembly.
Yeah, in a sense, this is really a sort of an issue with the country in terms of its identity and its relationship with democracy. It's always been an up and down process. There's been 18 coups or attempted coups in the last 80 years or so in Thailand. And they really say that this political juggernaut that's been put forward by Thaksin Shinawatra, who's the brother of the current prime minister, is actually corrupting and perverting the parliamentary institutions in the country, and that elections will not get them out of this crisis. The Democrat Party has aligned itself with this movement on the streets, saying that they need to bring in some kind of reform process to clean up democracy. However, its critics say that really it knows that it can't win in the ballot box. It also must be pointed out that as this political paralysis continues, we're really looking at the possibility of further violence that we saw over the last 3 months or so. 10 people killed and 570 people or so injured in this political violence. And just the last couple of days, there's been small bombs and shootings from the country between these rival political factions. And there seems to be an almost a void vacuum of law and order in some areas of the city of Bangkok. Although it must be said in many other areas, life continues as normal. So really tense situations here, and also long-term concerns for the future, not only of the country, but also of parliamentary democracy in the country.